going on? This is Andrew here today, and we are doing yet another pickups video because what other content do I post on this channel at this point? Just so much pickups videos have been coming along lately just because there's been a lot of really cool stuff that I've been coming around to kind of just pick up and add to the collection. So I actually have 3 separate videos planned. I'm going to do them all in one night here since I'm going to be going on vacation in 2 days to a Guitar Hero meetup. So I figured I'd get some of that out of the way just to get some content out of the way while I'm gone. I'm going to pretty much have everything separated, I think, between 3 days of uploads at that point, just to kind of do that. Just because there are so many things that I've gotten that I figured it would be worth separating into separate segments so that the video doesn't get too long and boring. So this video is going to be mainly focused on the consoles that I got this week because I ended up picking up like a lot of consoles, accidentally actually. Well, there was one that I was planning on getting that I already knew I was getting, but then I ended up picking up a ton of stuff when I found a lot of cheap ones at the Mr. Cheapo store. So we're just going to be going through all this right now. This is a mix of GameStop and Mr. Cheapo. It's mainly Mr. Cheapo, but one of the things was GameStop and it's a console, so I figured let's just kind of put it onto one video, not really consider it like a Mr. Cheapo / GameStop haul, just make it a just console haul essentially with, you know, a few games on the side there as well. So without further ado, guys, let's get right into this. Right off the bat, I'm just going to show the big thing of the entire haul, the Legend of Zelda Switch OLED. So this is now my 3rd Switch OLED because I got the Splatoon one first. That was the initial console. I wasn't planning on getting any other ones after that. About a week after they launched the Splatoon OLED, they announced the Pokemon OLED. Now, if at the time I would have known they were going to be coming out with a Pokemon OLED, I would not have gotten the Splatoon one. But at that point, already having the Splatoon one and then wanting the Pokemon one, since I want all the Pokemon Switches, I pretty much made the decision at that point to finally go and get a sealed console, which ended up being the Pokemon Switch. So I have the Pokemon Switch sealed in the box. And I'm actually going to be doing the exact same thing with this. The only difference with this one is I always knew that if there was going to be a Zelda console coming out, that I would make sure 100% I would get it and keep it sealed. And with my luck, they ended up releasing the Tears of the Kingdom OLED. They ended up announcing that, and pretty much right off the bat, I knew I was getting it. I kind of was like, shit, because like I didn't want to spend another $400. But at the same time, like I've been wanting the Switch to have a Zelda version of the console for such a long time, and this was 100% just an awesome Switch to come out. So if any of you guys got your hands on this, I'm very jealous that you guys are going to be able to play this thing out of the box. I know technically I have the ability to, but I'm too much of a collector to want to take this thing out of the box. Maybe if I get my hands on another one, I'm probably not going to, and I probably don't care to because I already have the Splatoon one, and I don't really need more than one OLED out of the box. But I now own every single special edition version of the OLED. I have the Splatoon one, I have the Pokemon one, and I have the Zelda one. I don't have the regular OLED like the white or the red and blue, but honestly, I don't plan on getting them. Plus, the Splatoon one suits all my needs. It's my favorite looking one of the bunch, and honestly, I don't need to use more than one OLED, especially when I have so many regular Switches and Switch Lites at this point. Like, I think I'm almost up to 10 Switches at this point. So similar to PS2s, I can't stop buying Switches. I made a video a while back saying I can't stop buying PS2s. Well, looks like I also can't stop buying Switches. So speaking of PS2s, yeah, I did it again. I got another PS2 Slim. So I have a modded PS2 Slim where I accidentally knocked the little power physical button off of the front. So I have to use a pencil whenever I turn the thing on because there's a physical button on the inside I have to click that I can't, my fingers are too big to get in there. So I got myself another PS2 Slim. I also got myself another PS1 Fat, because the PS1 Fat that I got a while ago from eBay, the thing works perfectly fine, but it ends up scratching the discs for some reason, and I couldn't figure out why it was doing it. So I don't know if that's just a PlayStation thing or it was my specific console. So I figured I would add this at the same time since they were both really, really cheap. So I'll pretty much explain why I even got these consoles while I was there. Essentially, I picked up a Super Nintendo from Mr. Cheapo, and the thing was going for only $80, which is really, really good for a Super Nintendo. So I knew immediately I was going to have to go on that. The problem was when I brought it home, it wouldn't read cartridges. The problem with these old consoles, guys, is I don't blame Mr. Cheapo for any of this. They said that they tested the thing and made sure it played a game before they made sure it was sellable. The problem with these consoles, guys, you never know. Like, they just go for no reason, or they'll just stop working out of nowhere. This thing could have 100% been working just fine, and then literally, like, they gave it to me, I bring it home, and the thing is just not working. So it was unfortunate, but they were nice enough, even a week later, to give me back everything that I paid for the Super Nintendo. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word. They were nice enough to give me back in trade credit what I paid for the Super Nintendo. So instead, I ended up buying the PS2 Slim that they had because it was also a great deal, and the PS1 regular because I felt like the deal was justified. I got the PS2 Slim with all the controllers and cables for $60. Same thing with the PS1, except I got this one for only $40. So I'd say really good deal. I only had to spend an extra, $10 really to go from one console to having two, and now I have two fully functional working consoles. Very happy to have them. I'm probably not going to be using the PS2 Slim as I'm using the PS2 Fat in my other configuration, but to have a fully non-modded PS2 Slim again that isn't defective in my collection honestly makes it really cool. Plus I have another DualShock 2, so that makes it even nicer. It gives me another controller on top of that, which honestly, for the price I got this for, wasn't really far away from the price I would have had to get another DualShock 2 for anyway, so not a big deal. But the last console that I got, that I actually got on the same day I got the Super Nintendo, I'm not gonna unplug it and everything because it was a pain to get it in my setup. But the day that I got the Super Nintendo, I also ended up getting myself an Xbox 360 Fat. And what's special about this model is this is the one that came before the this one came before the Xbox 360 had HDMI. So I have a feeling someday in the future it will red ring on me. But the console itself was only $30, and I figured $30 for an Xbox 360, I absolutely. Plus, I wanted the one that had the component cables because I wanted to connect it to my CRT, my HD CRT, and play some HD games on my CRT since I have an HD CRT. And honestly, games look amazing on the 360 on that TV. I think they look great. And then I have another 360 that I use on my 4K TV. And then I have another 360 in this room, and then a modded 360. So you know what? I can't stop buying these generations of consoles. I can't stop buying Switches, I can't stop buying PS2s, and I can't stop buying Xbox 360s. So this is, I think I just have a console addiction at this point. But as of the making of this video, I own so many versions of the same console. I don't think I plan on getting rid of any of them anytime soon, but this is honestly, pretty interesting that I've gotten this far. But yeah, no, I think I got some pretty good consoles in this haul. There's actually one more I'm going to show. This wasn't from a retro game store. This was actually from my brother, but I'm going to show it right here. So my brother ended up actually giving me his Xbox One S, and the reason for that was I ended up actually getting him the Xbox Series X, and I kind of thought this out in a way. I'm going to explain really what led me to do this. So essentially, he really wanted to get the new Star Wars game, but he was stuck on Xbox One and just wasn't really planning on getting a next-gen console anytime soon. And since he's a major Star Wars fan, I felt like it was something that I really wanted to do for him. At first, I was just going to let him borrow my Series S, and I was going to buy him a digital copy of the game. But then I thought, you know what? I haven't really done anything for my family that's been really nice for a long time. And with Xbox, they have a really cool program called Xbox All Access. And so essentially what that does is it gives you 2 years of Game Pass Ultimate. You essentially get the console, and you pay $34.99 a month for the Xbox All Access program for 2 years, and then the console is officially yours after that. You have to open it through some Citizens Pay bank and open up a credit line, but I figured since I was already paying for Game Pass Ultimate every month for $15 anyway, putting an extra $20 onto that to get my brother a console, let him play the Star Wars game, and then give myself the Game Pass Ultimate since he doesn't care about that. Honestly, it just felt like the deal of the century to me. Plus, I felt like it'd be nice to get my brother something since I know he really loves the Star Wars games. And I actually gave him my copy of Jedi Survivor. GameStop screwed up and didn't get me mine on day one, which sucks because I know for a fact as an employee that one of the tasks that they had us do was make sure that every USPS had our copies shipped out, that we would bring it there for the same day delivery for the next day. So some employees screwed up. It is what it is. I'm used to it at this point. But yeah, unfortunately that's what happened. I didn't get my copy, but I was lucky enough to go to the 9 p.m. release last night since one of the stores I work at was hosting it, and I gave the copy to my brother just to have him play it. So since I got him the Series X, he pretty much has no use for the 1S anymore. I mean, it plays all the 1 games and does so much better, and it runs them all smoother. So at that point, he's not a collector like me. He doesn't care about holding on to the old systems. So I was like, hey, can I just take your Xbox One? He was like, oh yeah, I don't care. You literally just got me a Series X. So he gave me the Xbox One, and now I own every single Xbox and every single model, minus a few of the fat Xbox 360 models. But essentially, I own the original Xbox. I own the Xbox 360 Fat, the component model. I own the Xbox 360 Slim. I own the Xbox 360e. I own the original Xbox One. I own the Xbox One S. I own the Xbox One X. I own the Xbox Series S, and I own the Xbox Series X. So I pretty much at this point have every single Xbox, every single version that has something about them that's different. I could go another step and, go for the HDMI model of the Xbox 360 Fat, but honestly at that point, that's really just a very, very little incremental change that I feel like maybe doesn't even make it that different at that point, where, going from an Xbox One to an Xbox One S, that's like a major change. We're talking 1080p to 4K, we're talking, a 4K Blu-ray drive, we're talking just a lot of different changes done to these things, plus a much slimmer form factor. So I think at this point, I don't really need to go that extra step. I mean, probably somewhere down the line, I know I'm going to end up doing it, but at this point, I will pretty much just claim I have every single Xbox, and that is just such a cool thing for me to say. Maybe somewhere down the line, I'll have every single PlayStation. That gets expensive, though, because, the PS3 backwards compatible models, they get expensive. Alright guys, but that is all of the consoles in this video. I'm just going to show the rest of the stuff that I picked up, which was just a few small things. Figured I'd just show it at the end of the video since I got these on the same day, and it was at Mr. Cheapo that I got a majority of these consoles. So, one of them being Guitar Hero Encore Rock the 80s. I mentioned in my last video I'm going for a full series FC of the Guitar Hero series, so this is one I'm definitely going to need. I already technically own the game, but it got heavily scratched because I was using it for the swap disc trick when doing like custom games and all that stuff. Ended up being that this wasn't the game to do it for, and it ended up scratching the hell out of it, so I just needed to get another copy of the game. I technically could have pirated it, but I also wanted a physical copy, and it was only $8, so I figured I would just pick it up and just have it, and even though the case is all beat up, I'll just put it in my other case that isn't beat up. I ended up, for the PS4, also getting the PSVR demo disc, which I'm actually going to be using on my PS4 kiosk, just to kind of mess around with that. I figured I'd be getting some more PSVR games, since I have the PSVR one, since a customer gave it to me at one point, literally just gave me it for free. So I was planning on hooking up the PSVR 1 to my kiosk PS4 that I have, and just kind of messing around with it on that. And I felt like this would be a good little entryway into doing that. Plus, it looked kind of cool on display, I'd say, if I was like doing a video and I kind of just had like the demo game in the background when recording some footage. Very last game I got, another very mediocre one I'm probably not going to play on PS4 because I mainly play it on Xbox One, but I would also like to add this to my kiosk eventually, because at one point this game was on a PS4 kiosk. Guitar Hero Live, worst game in the franchise in my opinion. A lot of people really do actually like this game nowadays. When it first came out, it got a lot of hate, but there is a major community behind it because it got revived through the PS3 emulator. I think it was called Guitar Hero Live Reboot or something like that, or something different, I don't know. Just the community went and revived the game, and some online stuff through the PS3 emulator, and I've heard some pretty cool things about it. So as much as I wasn't really a fan of the style of the game, I still think it was an interesting concept, and there's like, a great community behind it. So I would like to maybe give it a shot again. I'm probably not going to play the PS4 version. If anything, I'll probably play it on the PS3 emulator, just like everybody else is doing, since I have the PC to do that, since I've got a RTX 3080 and a Ryzen 9, so yeah, it'll definitely handle that. But if I ever feel like playing Guitar Hero Live again, I'll either do this and get the Guitar Hero Live kiosk guitar for my kiosk, or I will just end up playing more of the game on Xbox One / Xbox Series X at that point. But yeah, guys, that is everything in this video. I got a whole lot of stuff, like just ridiculous amount of stuff in this video in terms of consoles, and there's going to be a few more videos to come with some other stuff I'm going to be showing off. But yeah, no, a lot of consoles today. I initially thought it was 4 that I got this week. I ended up getting 5 this week, which, holy, that's definitely a new record for me. I think I'm almost positive that's a new record for me in terms of how many I've gotten in a week. So I think we've definitely surpassed the 50 mark in terms of how many I have in terms of physical consoles. I think we're maybe closer to 60 or 70 at this point. But damn, like my collection this past month has just grown like to some crazy, ridiculous margins. So maybe one day I'll open up a retro game store. Never know. I'm only 21 now, and I already have all this stuff now. So who knows, maybe in 10 years from now, or maybe 20, 30 years, I want to become a game developer still. I'm in school for that, but maybe like 20, 30 years, when my library is even bigger to the point where it's literally a game store, maybe I'll open up a retro game store, just do something like that. That is my life goal, I will say that. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching this video. I'll see you all in the next one.